Welcome to Loving Me Before I Love You with Tammy Nicole, the podcast dedicated to you loving and putting yourself first. Others have come first in your life for years, and you know it's time for that to change. You're about to be empowered to set healthy boundaries, confidently have hard conversations, unapologetically put yourself first, and live the peaceful life you deserve. Remember, self-love is essential, and loving yourself sets the stage for every other love in your life. So get ready to embrace self-love like never before with your host, Coach Tammy Nicole.
It is Transformation Tuesday over at Loving Me Before I Love You. We have just entered the month of July, and y'all know July means what? Celebration, 4th of July, independence, freedom, etc. But I want you to imagine waking up in the morning without the stress of overdue bills, the weight of debt, or the fear of financial insecurity. Instead, you have choices: where to work, how to spend your time, and the ability to create a future that aligns with your dreams. But for many of us, financial freedom feels like a distant goal, something only the wealthy can attain. I want you to change that, because the truth is, building wealth, gaining independence isn't just about how much money you make. It's about how you manage, grow, and shift your mindset around it. Many people are trapped in cycles of financial struggle, not because they lack ambition, but because they haven't been given the tools to break free. Today, I'm actually sitting down with Miss Nathalie Gricourt, and she is a transformation coach and a thriver for women. She is here to help you through the journey of financial transformation, learning what it takes to move from surviving to thriving. Whether you're a single parent, a regular mom, trying to create stability for your children, a professional looking to escape the paycheck to paycheck cycle, or someone who is simply wants to take control of their financial destiny. This conversation is for you. Let's talk about how to build wealth, create independence, and step into true financial freedom. Welcome to the show, Nathalie.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy that you joined me. I think a lot of times, my show is really about self-love, self-empowerment.
Yes.
But it's about also how it connects to every aspect of our lives. And I think a lot of times we don't realize how not loving ourselves, not feeling like our worth is deserving to have things like financial freedom is actually connected. I think it connects across the board. You may not even go get the job that you actually deserve because of the lack of love that you have for yourself. So if you don't get the job that you deserve, that means you're not making the amount of money that you deserve. And all of it kind of like connects and trickles into a domino effect. And I just want people to understand that self-love is connected to every space that your life touches. Like everything that you have to do in life, your self-worth and your self-love is attached to it.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yes, absolutely. And I so agree with you. I mean, for me, it's, the foundation, self-love, self-empowerment, has everything to do with your financial success. So very happy to dive into this.
So we're going to jump in. What does financial freedom mean to you? And when did you realize you wanted it?
Yeah. Ooh, very good question. So first, I think it's important. I mean, that's something I do very often, is to clarify actually what we call financial freedom from let's not say a technical point of view, but just I think there is a difference between, financial safety or serenity, if we want to call it that way, where actually you stop, worrying about when you're going to get paid, and, you have this kind of relief around money. And I think then there is the financial freedom where actually you have, the enough money to invest in yourself, to have options, and then really financial independence. And financial independence is where, you have invested in assets that are actually, providing an income for you without you having to trade your time
Your
for
time.
money.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think it's very important to identify those different steps. Because when we talk about financial freedom, financial independence, it sometimes seems so out of reach.
Mm-hmm.
But actually it really depends where you start, where you are, and where you want to. I mean, you can start, just aiming for at least, serenity and safety, and then grow from there. And I think that's very, very important. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I think that's something I started realizing when I started my financial education. And I think I wanted it because I realized what I really wanted is financial independence. I'm not there yet because I'm working to it. I'm building assets. And for example, having my own business is an asset. I'm building towards financial independence. But I think I had to go for sure through all those phases. And sometimes you have also to go back and forth between those phases because, as I said, for example, when you are in financial freedom, you have the space to invest in yourself, to also choose how you want to work. Or you have the options to stop doing things you don't want to do, but sometimes by investing, in yourself, you go back more to the phase of financial serenity. So it's really a flow. And I think also that's something to keep in mind is that money is a flow, and it comes and it goes. And it's also important to get at peace with this idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a lot of times we become fixated on the materials things when it comes to money. So breaking it down from this standpoint of not worrying about the paycheck to paycheck. So you're kind of like just comfortable. All bills are paid. You're not wondering if they're going to be paid. And then being able to have freedom or, the financial freedom piece is more so like, hey, I have enough income in the bank. I'm not thinking about nothing. I'm not worried about nothing. I'm able to just kind of like do my own thing. But having financial independence is definitely that high ceiling of I'm going to sleep this week away. I'm going to travel the following week. And I'm not thinking about nothing because my money is making money for me.
Exactly.
I'm not having to make money for it or do something that makes it do what it needs to do. So having that understanding is key for sure. But the other thing that you said in reference to where to start and all of that is mindset. How you see it is super, super important. Because if you don't understand what money is, if you don't see money as a tool and you see it as like a necessity for just living, and it's just not like a tool to do what you want to do in life, it's very difficult to reach those pivotal moments of independence and freedom, etc. I was listening to Marlon Gordon. Can't think his last name, but it's Marlon, and he's a very big entrepreneurial pusher. Like he's a coach for entrepreneurs. And he says the difference between poor people and wealthy people is how they see money. Poor people say, I need to save this money to buy this item. Wealthy people say, I'm going to create something that will make that item able to be purchased. Or, like I'm going to create something. And in creating that, it's going to afford me the purchase of it. I'm not going to go save my money. I'm just going to make some more for that one
absolutely
thing.
Yeah. Yes. I think it's always about, all those three stages we were talking about. At the end of the day, it's all about financial empowerment.
Yep.
And it's all about choice. It's about ownership. And that's why I'm a self-empowerment coach. And that's what I love is to really help, seeing the possibilities. It's all of a sudden it's about creation. We talk about creation. We are not talking, and when I work around money with women, I never we look at budget and this kind of thing, but it's never to restrict yourself, to save, of course, to start with, you need to know your numbers, to be very realistic and, around your money. But it's more about, shifting that mindset from I can't afford it, I have to save, or I have to cling to whatever, I have the little I have because I'm scared it will go away.
Right.
To what can I create? What can I do? How can I earn more? And it's not about, working harder, working, as you said, it's a mindset. And I think also what is very important, what I noticed for myself, but also for my clients, is that you need to also open yourself to receive. When you create opportunities for yourself, first there is, you need to choose, you need to decide. We talked about it, ownership and shift your mindset, start creating an abundance mindset.
Yes.
Then you need to learn to ask. I mean, it's not literally about asking. It's also for yourself. What do you want? What and why also. That's the important part. But
that
then
inner
you need
side, that changing that inner piece. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then you need to be open to receive, because if you have that scarcity mindset and actually you're a little bit, you have resistance because you think money, it's being greedy or you're being selfish or, all those
negative limited beliefs.
Yeah, that you have. All of a sudden you close the door and every opportunities that you were trying to create or that were coming your way,
you block
they
them.
will not land anywhere. And I think for me that's really, that's the biggest part I work for myself and with my clients is that, and especially as a woman, to open yourself to receive, not with guilt, not with shame, not with anything. It's, you're worthy of it.
Yeah.
So
and I think
open yourself to it.
I think that's the key, believing you're worthy of it, right?
Yes.
When you have scarcity mindset or when you are constantly looking at things from a standpoint of that's too much. I just need this. I just need this small little amount, something cost, let's just say you're going somewhere and the trip itself, let's do something for fun. The trip is $1,000 and you're like, man, but I can take a Spirit trip, a Spirit flight, and the flight is going to be $100 versus taking this Delta flight that's $450. And it's like, you could do that. You could, but why are we doing it? Are we doing it because you don't deserve it? Or are you doing it because airlines don't matter to you? You don't care about luxury. You don't care about comfort. You don't care about, so you're just like, long as it's safe and I can get there, this is just how I live my life from that perspective. Yeah. But if you're really doing it because your mindset is you don't deserve luxury or comfort, problematic. Problematic, because that means everything you're doing is based upon mediocrity, bare basics, just to say it's done, but not to really experience it for what it's for. Like, why did you go on vacation?
Yes. But that's where I think when we talk about money, what is also very important is to identify, the why behind why, especially if you are aiming for financial success or whatever level you're aiming for. I think the purpose behind is why, and to understand your values, what you value, because some people, exactly as you said, some people will value comfort, some won't. I mean, it's not important what they prefer to travel the world. They prefer, to have a complete different experience. And I think as long as you own, we were talking about ownership earlier, it's to own, why is it important to me? Why I want to do that? What do I want to do with my money? Is it for my family? Do I want to do, good, which, we can do. I mean, that's also the beautiful part of having more and more money is all the good that you can create, around you. It's that importance of also being aligned with your values as well, and the purpose Yeah, that's Simon Sinek said, start with why. I think it's
Yeah,
important.
that's true. You should start with your why. I think
Yeah.
that in everything, why do you want it? Making sure that you're not wanting it because somebody else has it, and that you really want it because it fulfills a moral or value dilemma within you versus that looked good, that looked nice to have. When you see people have nice things and you're like, oh, I want that, but why do you want that? Like,
yes. Oh yeah, that's also a very important part. I think the comparison, trap is
the comparison.
can be terrible, because it's all of a sudden when you realize that it's sometimes just a question of status and ego, and that it doesn't fulfill you. It leaves you empty. It's an empty chase, and you're like, why no. But it's part of ownership as well. Sometimes it's very difficult to go a little bit for something that is not mainstream, that is not really in our cultural thing, and to go against against the grain. It's difficult, but that's part of ownership and self-empowerment, I think, and self-love for sure. Yeah.
Right. So like what mistakes though are people making when they're trying to achieve financial freedom?
It's more, we were talking about mindset, is that they have, stories in their head. And I mean, the one that is coming, so I work with professional women, and they come to me, to talk first about their career, but very, very quickly we talk about money, because that's an important part of the work I do. I think it's, intertwined, and if you talk about career, you need to talk about money, and vice versa.
Right.
And so when we start talking about that, is all of a sudden they're like, oh no, but so the first thing is, I need to fix my career. I need to have a better job. And then I will worry about my money. And you're like, no. Actually, the sooner you start understanding how money works, how you start managing, your money, and it can be very simple, the better. And it goes with this other thing that is coming next, which is, I need to earn at least 6 figures, to start thinking about building wealth and being financially free and this kind of thing. And it couldn't be further from the truth, because you could give someone, 100,000 pounds. I mean, earning a lot of money. If you don't know what to do with your money, how to manage it, you would keep it happens to a lot of people. They earn a lot of money, but they still live paycheck to paycheck, because it's not about how much you earn, is what you do with your money. It's the intentionality you have behind. It's how the decision that you make around it. And so all those things about those stories about, also the other one, I'm not good with numbers. I'm not, and it's just stories. It's just stories. And of course, all the negative self-talk about, if I earn a lot of money, people will see me, especially for women, as a bad person. I'm not going to say a bad word.
Yeah.
But you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or I will sound greedy or selfish, or all this kind of thing. And it's just stories. It's just stories we tell ourselves, and because it's hiding other things behind. But once you start digging in and unveiling and uncovering what is behind, you can make a lot of progress. It's quite fascinating.
I agree. I think the story that we shape around money as a whole kind of dictates how we interact with it. I think you can demand money to do things. You know what I mean? Like you can put a demand on it because you have a relationship with it. But that relationship that you have with money is going to dictate if you ever reach financial freedom, if you ever get to financial independence. I remember growing up, I didn't know nothing about investments. You hear about it, but you're like, no one's teaching you how to do it.
Yep.
What's a good investment? Then I heard one person say, invest in everything that you ever use or buy. If you don't know how to do anything else, at least do that. So that when you go buy, you spend your money somewhere, you paying yourself. Every time you spend money in that spot, like you buy tissue, you use tissue, you need to invest in a tissue brand. You know, everything that you use on a regular basis. If you buy it more than one time a month, you should have stock in it. Especially if it's a public trading company, because you need to pay yourself. And so, I say, okay. That's exactly what I did. I don't care if you only have one share, half a share, but at least try to get one full share in everything. And then go and stack on top of that. And then add into others, into the ETFs and stuff like that. But you have to learn that investments is really the key to financial freedom.
For sure. For sure. And when we talk about investment, that's something funny as well. It's, of course, there are all those vehicles and assets, you were talking about market shares and there are so many, and it sounds very complicated and sometimes it is. So you have to, really do your research and learn. Yeah. But sometimes, when we talk about investment, the simple thing and sometimes the most rewarding one as well is to invest in yourself.
Absolutely.
That's what I found, because you are your biggest asset. And that also anchor, this idea that you are worthy, that, and that build up, self-empowerment and I think it's sometimes overlooked.
I agree.
To invest in yourself. Yeah.
I agree. I think when it comes to ourselves, we look for people to just give us the things that we kind of need. But we value what we invest in.
Yeah.
And so when you don't invest in yourself, you don't value yourself.
Yes.
And so like when you think about it, like going to college, right? Like when kids get out of high school, they go to college. College is not really looked at as this big thing to do these days. It's like has fallen off further and further from high schoolers, like being excited to go to college because they have found entrepreneurship as a direct avenue to financial freedom. It's like, oh no, I'm going to start me a digital product. I'm going to start me a drop shipping company. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And all of those things are great. But if you don't have the business acumen to handle all of it when it comes in, you're not really setting yourself up for full success. Not that what you're doing isn't successful, because it is. If you're able to bring in $1, you're successful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to actually sustain it and have it longevity, to be able to take it and make it generational wealth, you need business acumen behind you to understand the process. Because you can get money fast and lose it just as fast.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
But when you're investing, but you got to invest.
Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. But that comes back as well to mindset, for sure. And as you said, that's something we are not taught, in school. I don't know in America, but here in Europe and everything. Money, entrepreneurship, at least entrepreneurial mindset is not something that is taught here. And I think it's really, it's going to start becoming problematic, I think, in the sense that, the world of work is shifting so much and we are going to have to adapt. We're going to have to completely change the way we promote ourselves, the way, we think about work. And I think having an entrepreneurial mindset to start with is going to really, really help, with that transition. And on top of that, exactly as you said, I think also having the entrepreneurial skills, which is different, is absolutely, critical, especially when you want to build, financial independence. Yeah, for sure.
Wow, today's episode is a good one. I know you're enjoying it, and we'll get back to it shortly. Just wanted to take a quick break to let you know that Tammy would love for you to share any questions, comments, or topic ideas you have with her. All you have to do is send them to her in an email to podcast@IamTammyNicole.com. Thank you, and without further ado, let's get back into today's show.
Yeah. What strategies or habits do you think help with getting out of debt and to start building wealth?
I think the first thing is, for sure, as we were saying, is the mindset. And to be honest, I really believe that self-love and self-permission is key. To really, but self-permission in the sense of really, anchoring that idea, that you're worthy of wealth. If I understand you can be in debt, but it's to really start building that. I call it quiet confidence. It's because it's not something external. It's inside. It's really, that you're worthy of it, that you're going to make it, that you are going. It may take a little bit of time, but you decide that you are going, to pay your debt. It's going to happen. So having those convictions, first. And I think it's really that, giving yourself some grace as well and self-compassion, because the problem is when you're in debt or when you have financial difficulties, you beat yourself up
all the time,
you worry all the time. But and it's normal. I mean, we all do that. It's the human reaction. But the thing is, you spend then so much energy keeping yourself in that scarcity mindset instead of thinking, okay, that's where I stand. It's nobody's fault. It's how it is. There is no need, to beat myself up or to find a reason or justification or to stay in somehow also sometimes in a victim, mindset, like, I couldn't do anything about it. It's not about blaming yourself about what has happened. It's just taking a very factual stand to, okay, that's the situation. It's facts. Being really, really, brave and look at the reality and at your number, not again as a mean to beat yourself up, but more as facts,
Yep.
That's what it is. And you need to, but for that, to stop beating yourself up, you need to remove the meaning of your financial situation. You need to really, discard that to it's not easy. And that's something I work on with my clients is to really stop giving a meaning to what has happened in the past and the reason why you stand where you stand today. I mean, we all have things that we have done, we regret and everything, but the problem is you spend so much energy and headspace thinking and blaming yourself, where you could use that energy to look at, okay, what can I do? Where can I get some help? What plan can I create? Really having that energy towards, creation and again, giving you that grace and space for self-compassion as well. So I know it's easy to say, but that's really where I think it starts. More than from the technical part of, okay, I need to, reimburse that amount of dollars every month or something.
Yeah.
It's really that mindset and space.
Yeah. And I agree, because a lot of times you can get out of debt. Like you can go and do all the technicalities of, snowballing the debt, paying this amount, paying this down, paying that off, and get debt free. But if your mindset around money and your relationship with money has not changed, you'll find yourself back in debt in a year, 2 years. Your credit went amazing. Now you're out here getting new credit cards, buying new things.
Yeah.
But your relationship with money hasn't changed. So therefore you're back in the same spot that you put yourself in, regardless of what you learned.
Yes, I completely agree. Yeah, definitely. So that's why it can be a long work, because it's inner work. It's where it starts really. If you want something long-term, a long-term transformation, that's where it needs to start. Yeah, from within, for sure.
And then like multiple streams of income.
Oh, yeah. that's something me. That's. I think actually I didn't respond fully to your question, around why and when I realized I wanted financial freedom. But it's that me all of a sudden. So I had quite a, thriving a career in the last decade, which was not the case of the first decade. It has been a journey. But the second decade, was quite good for me and everything. But I was like, all of a sudden, I realized different things, but I was like, you rely on one job, on one income stream, and I was like, but that's a little bit risky, and that's where I started digging and getting education, financial education, and understanding, that trade between time, money, and how you can get out of this. And it requires effort and, building assets is something, it doesn't happen overnight and it doesn't come and fall on your lap, for sure. But all of a sudden I was like, I don't want to have to rely on a job, because I want to be able to work, whenever I want, and especially when I'm old. I don't know. I didn't have that spirit of, I'm waiting to retire or something. It's not me. So I was like, I want to create things now that, I can then keep expanding and growing. And if I'm fortunate enough to grow in my old days and keep working and everything. And I realized I was like, yes, several income stream is the way. And so investing is one way to do that, but then creating your own assets through business, digital products, intellectual property, all this kind of thing, it's another way. And we were talking about the future of work, and I really think we are going towards this more and more. And I found it fascinating to see how the younger generation actually, embrace this. And I love it personally.
Absolutely. When I learned about multiple streams of income, I learned that each person should have a minimum of four streams of income that you can rely on. 2 or 3 of them you need to be able to do in your sleep. In other words, if I'm sleeping, it's still working. The other one, you may physically work it, when you're awake. But being able to have those streams of income and not being solely relying on one thing is important, because you can,
Absolutely.
Your world can come crashing down on that one thing. And then what? Then you got to scrape and scratch to just live, to just survive. But if one thing crashes and you have the other 3 to support, then it's like, okay, cool. And then here's another piece of advice while you guys are listening. Just because you have the 4 plus streams of income, you need to be living a lifestyle off of one. Let the others be extra. Don't let them be the necessity, because if it's the necessity and something crashes down, you're still going to be scrapping for, like, how am I going to get by? Because you're operating out of all of them versus one of them.
Yep.
And that means you have no room to lose anything. So you need multiple streams of income is set up so that you don't have to put yourself in a position of loss when something goes wrong with one.
Yes, that's fantastic advice for sure.
I think we don't think about it that way. I think we just think about the number, like, I just want to be a 6-figure earner, or I want to be a 7-figure earner. And it's just the number to say, oh, I have this many zeros, coming to me or in my bank account. But we don't think about how it functions, how it works together, or lack thereof.
Yes, we were talking earlier about, independence, and that's part of it. It's you don't want to be at the mercy, of your employer, for things.
That part.
But then also that's why it's important to have different one, and in different type of sectors, or, different format or channels, or you don't want to be at the mercy of your employer, but you don't want to be either at the mercy of, any economic uncertainties. And so that's why it's very important to have different stream in different assets, in different, vehicles. So to really balance your portfolio, when you build it. Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah, balanced portfolio. I didn't even think about that. Having it be actually balanced. I think a lot of times, again, financial literacy is something that has now become a little bit more prevalent. A lot of times we just don't talk about it. You rarely talk about your money. People, you'll be like, oh, I got, this stock over here, or I got, this much money in this bag, or this, people don't talk about it. People don't talk about not putting monies in banks. Like, I'm not a bank girl. I'm a credit union girl. Like, if it's not in people think you're supposed to have a bunch of money in the bank.
Yeah.
And the reality is the bank don't keep your money in the bank. So they put your money in investments. Why would you give it to them instead of putting it in investments or getting yourself a high yield savings account so that you can get more than 0.12% on your dollar? Like, being able to understand and know those things are super important, but it doesn't become important to you until you become important to you.
Yes, for sure. Yes.
You're taught to go get a job and just live based upon what that job provides. Most of the time, back in the day, that's what was the message. Stay on the job for 20, 30 years, then retire. That's the
yeah, but it doesn't work anymore. It's not possible, especially
you have
with
to change with time.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's where, we were saying we are not taught this kind of thing in school or anywhere else, actually. And that's where it's I think, part of a self-empowerment is to actually take things in your own hands, and to start thinking, okay, I'm going to learn. And of course, they make it very difficult, for you to understand, because they want to keep things that way, because you need then, people to manage your funds, your thing, but actually you don't. They are very simple asset vehicles. You can have a very, very simple way to invest. And when you discover that, you're like, oh, I wish I had started much sooner. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think a lot of times we have to, like we talked about earlier, investing in yourself. Like, they don't really make it super easy for you to find out. But the better option, even like you're like, oh, I don't have the money to invest in myself right now. Well, how about get yourself a friend that know what they're doing? How about get yourself a mentor that knows what they're doing, who's living your life? Your network is your net worth. And if you don't have a network of people around you in a space that you desire to be in or desire to grow to, then that's the problem. So if you were to ask me, okay, what is the first thing I would do? The first thing I would do is figure out who you are and what you want out of life. And once you've identified what that is, the second thing I would do is find people that are already there.
Yeah.
And befriend them and get to know them.
Yes.
And become acquainted and be in the atmosphere. Yes. When I was younger, my uncle used to say, reach for the stars. Even if you don't grab one, you fall among them. And the point is to be in the room. Be in the space and find people who are like you or want to be in, or who are in a space you want to be in. Yes.
Your environment is so important. Yes. And that's part of the mindset. We were talking about shifting that mindset, and growing more of an abundance mindset, but that's part of it. Who you surround yourself with is part of, the messages, because you can change your language. That's a very important part. Actually, we didn't mention it, but that's where it starts. The first thing you can control is the way you talk about things, and to stop receiving, counter messages, because if you are in that, on your path to really create something different, and it's so important as well to surround yourself with people, like-minded people, because if you have on top to fight against people that send you those counter messages, it's very difficult. So you have to to learn to do it at some point. But I think the more you can surround yourself with people that are in the same either space or ahead of yourself, exactly as you said, I think that's critical. Yeah, for sure.
Very critical, because the limited belief systems that you have about yourself have to go away.
Yes.
You can't continue to think the same way you think right now and expect change to come. You have to change all of that.
Yeah. You have to learn to reframe. I think the thing is, we are all humans. And I say to my clients, it's not that you're never going to have any negative thoughts, or I'm a little bit against, that toxic positivity. I found it, of course you will have negative thought. Of course there will be days where you're having a bad mood. But it's just knowing the tools and learning to reframe, and to also be your cheerleader, your best friend, your cheerleader. And you know that more than anybody else, as a self-coach, is give yourself whatever you expect from others, or even from money, or, give it to yourself. And then nobody can take it away from you. It's a given, because you are your own, you're independent in that sense, emotionally. And that is such a strong foundation for everything else, I think.
Absolutely. I've had a great time. Like, this has been very good information. I think tying the financial piece to the self-love and just to your own self-worth is like so important, that because people never put those two together. They think it's isolated. It's like, oh, money is just what I work for. It's just that thing over there. It's what I use to eat. It's what I use to, go places or live. And it's like, but it's a reflection of you.
Absolutely. Yes. For me, that's,
It's a full reflection of you. Yes. It's not just a thing.
Oh, for sure. That's something I discovered from my own experience. It's from the moment I started giving myself everything I needed, it included self-love, and, everything changed. So first it was around my relationship, for sure. But then it had such a massive impact. That's where I saw my career shifting. I saw my income shifting. I multiplied by 3. I built, a net worth, a very comfortable net worth. And it's because all of a sudden also what is important is to learn to detach, your worth from your money. So on one side, you give yourself all that self-love, but also it's very important to understand that, what you do and the money you earn is not who you are. You are worthy as you are. It's not because you earn a lot of money. It's not because you have this big title, or, you're a very successful entrepreneur, that you are more worthy than someone else. No. But it's part of the self-love. It's is knowing that, you are worthy, you are enough, you're as you are, and always have been and always will be. And I think that's the foundation.
Absolutely. I want to thank you so much, Nathalie, for joining me and depositing all of these jewels and helping people understand that your financial freedom lies and resides within themselves, because it's up to you to obtain it. It's up to you to feel like you really want it. It's up to you to feel worthy of it. If the people want to reach you and connect with you and say, oh man, I resonated with her, I would love to have her as my coach, how could they reach you?
So they can reach me on LinkedIn. That's where I spend most of my time. And actually, if that is of interest, I have an assessment to help women specifically, that I work specifically with women, understand where, what is preventing them from thriving. And that encompasses their career, the financial aspects. And so they can also start uncovering, areas where they can focus their attention and make meaningful progress. If you want to contact me on LinkedIn, send me a connection request or message, and I very happily will send you the link to the assessment. And I'm also on Substack. I just launched my newsletter, Thrive Your Way. So you can find me there as well.
Awesome. Thanks again for joining us. And y'all remember, love yourself so much that the love from others is a bonus. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Tammy. Bye.
That's a wrap on another episode of Loving Me Before I Love You. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a second to show your support by subscribing and leaving a positive rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Stay connected with Tammy. Make sure you're following her on Instagram and TikTok at Coach Tammy Nicole. If you like to work with Tammy or have any questions you'd like her to answer, please head over to www.IamTammyNicole.com. Until next time, always remember to love yourself so much that the love from others is a bonus.